You can't explain it. After every conversation with them, you feel exhausted. Not physically, mentally. Emotionally. Like someone reached inside your chest and squeezed everything dry. You check your phone and see their name and your stomach drops, but you don't know why, because they didn't do anything wrong. They didn't yell. They didn't insult you. They just talked. And somehow, after that talk, you feel emptier than before. You've been telling yourself you're just tired. You've been telling yourself you're being dramatic. But what if the exhaustion you feel isn't coming from your schedule, your job, or your lack of sleep? What if it's coming from a person? Today we're talking about 10 subtle signs someone is emotionally draining you. And by the time we get to sign number 10, you're going to understand something about your own life that's been quietly running in the background for years. Let's begin. Here's something most people don't realize about emotional energy. You have a limited amount of it. Every day. Just like physical energy. Just like time. Just like money. And every interaction you have either deposits energy into your account, or withdraws from it. Some people are deposits. You leave conversations with them feeling lighter. Clearer. More like yourself. Even if you talked about something hard, you walk away energized. Seen. Understood. Other people are withdrawals. Not necessarily because they're evil. Not necessarily because they mean to. But because something about the way they interact with you takes energy out of your system without ever putting anything back in. If your life is full of deposit people, you feel alive. If your life is full of withdrawal people, you feel exhausted, and you can't figure out why. The tricky part is this: emotional draining is almost always invisible. There's no dramatic moment. No obvious violation. Just a slow, quiet leak, a slow bleed of your vitality that shows up as fatigue, brain fog, irritability, and this vague feeling of, I don't know what's wrong with me lately. There might not be anything wrong with you. There might be something wrong with who has access to you. Let's talk about how to spot it. Number 1, you feel exhausted before the interaction even begins. Their name lights up on your phone. And instead of feeling connected, you feel a wave of dread. You know you're going to have to answer. You know it's going to be long. You know it's going to be heavy. You know by the time you hang up, you'll need to lie down. Or maybe they text you, "Can I talk to you about something?" And your body immediately tenses. Your shoulders climb toward your ears. Your jaw clenches. You already know, whatever's coming, it's going to cost you. You haven't even had the conversation yet. And you're already tired. This is your body telling you something important. Your nervous system has learned to predict what interactions with this person are going to feel like, and it's preparing you for depletion before the depletion begins. Healthy connection doesn't work like this. When you're truly close to someone in a mutual, life-giving way, seeing their name usually brings a small lift. A subtle, "Oh good, it's them." Not always excitement, but not dread either. If your body has learned to brace itself every time a specific person reaches out, that is data. Powerful data. Data your conscious mind may have been trying to explain away for years. Your body remembers what your mind keeps forgiving. Number 2, you leave every conversation knowing everything about their life, and they know almost nothing about yours. Think about your last 3 conversations with this person. What did you talk about? Their job. Their relationship. Their kids. Their health. Their family drama. Their opinions. Their frustrations. Their week. Their plans. Their conflicts. Their fears. Now think, did they ask you a single real question about your life? And I don't mean a surface level, "How are you?" on autopilot. I mean an actual question. Followed by actual listening. Followed by an actual follow-up question that showed they were paying attention. Most likely, no. And if they did ask, what happened when you tried to answer? Did they let you finish? Did they hold space for you? Or did your story somehow become the launching pad for another story about them? You, actually, my week has been rough, my mom's been in the hospital and I'm. Them, oh my God, hospitals stress me out. When my aunt was in the hospital last year. And there it goes. Your moment. Absorbed. Redirected. Vanished. This is what emotional draining actually is, mechanically. You are being used as a container. A mirror. An audience. Not a partner in conversation. You are not the co-star of the relationship. You are the supporting cast in their ongoing show. And after enough episodes, you start to disappear from your own life. Number 3, a significant part of your mental energy is spent managing how they feel. You choose your words carefully around them. You rehearse messages before sending. You edit yourself constantly, softening your tone, adjusting your body language, monitoring your facial expressions. You already know what topics to avoid. You already know what times of day are safe to talk to them. You already know what mood they're likely to be in based on the day of the week or what happened that morning. You have essentially become a full-time emotional weather forecaster for someone else's weather. And here's what makes this so exhausting: managing someone else's emotions is not free. It uses the exact same mental resources you need for your own life. Your focus. Your executive function. Your emotional regulation. Your problem-solving capacity. Every ounce of energy you spend calculating how they'll feel is an ounce you don't have available for yourself. That's why, after a long interaction with a draining person, you can't concentrate. Can't make decisions. Can't remember what you were supposed to do. Feel foggy and irritable for hours afterward. Your brain is depleted because it just ran a marathon, and you weren't even the one running your own race. You were running theirs. If you find yourself planning conversations before they happen, rehearsing responses, anticipating their reactions, and managing your own behavior to avoid their moods, that isn't a friendship. That isn't closeness. That's emotional labor. And they're not paying you for it. Number 4, their crises are constant, and always yours to solve. There's always something. Always a fire. Always a drama. Always someone doing them wrong. Always a decision they need to talk through immediately. And when they call, no matter what you're doing, no matter what's going on in your life, you're expected to drop everything and be available. You cancel plans for them. You stay up late for them. You interrupt your workday for them. You lose sleep for them. And here's what you may not have noticed: their problems never actually get resolved. You've been giving the same advice for years. You've been listening to variations of the same complaint about the same people for a decade. Nothing ever changes. They never take the advice. They never make the decision. They never leave the job, the partner, the situation. Because they don't actually want a solution. They want an audience. They want to process. They want to vent. They want to feel heard. And there's nothing wrong with any of that, in moderation, and reciprocated. But when someone is always in crisis, and you are always their designated emotional first responder, you're not being a good friend. You are being a resource. An unpaid therapist. A free hotline that never closes. And your battery cannot sustain that indefinitely. No matter how much you love them. You are allowed to not be available for every crisis. You are allowed to let their emergencies be emergencies without becoming your emergencies. That's not coldness. That's survival. Number 5, you feel guilty even mentioning your own problems. You could be going through something devastating. Something huge. Something that's occupying every waking moment of your life. And yet, when you're with them, you find yourself minimizing it. Downplaying it. Saying, "I'm fine, don't worry about me, tell me more about your thing." Why? Because on some level, you've learned that your needs don't fit in this relationship. There isn't room for them. When you've tried to bring things up in the past, one of a few things has happened. They redirected the conversation back to themselves. They made your problem sound smaller than theirs. They gave you a quick, dismissive response and moved on. They somehow made your problem about them, how it affects them, how it makes them feel, how they don't know what they'd do without you. So over time, you stopped sharing. You stopped opening up. You started treating this relationship as a one-way street, because that's what it always was. And now, even when you want to talk about your own life, something in your body says no, don't, they can't hold this. You keep it to yourself. You carry it alone. You process it with someone else, or, more often, with no one. Here is the truth: any relationship where you have to hide your own life to maintain the connection is not a real connection. It's performance. And performing costs you everything, every single day. Number 6, you leave interactions feeling small. Not always in an obvious way. Not always because they insulted you. But somehow, after time with them, you feel less confident. Less capable. Less certain of yourself. Less at peace with your own choices. Maybe they made a subtle comment about your career. Maybe they compared you to someone else in a compliment. Maybe they questioned your relationship in a way that planted doubt. Maybe they laughed at something you were excited about. Maybe they gave you unsolicited advice that made you feel like everything you're doing is wrong. You couldn't quite point to a moment where they were cruel. But you can point to the feeling. And the feeling is, I feel smaller than I did before I saw them. This is one of the most reliable signs of an emotionally draining person. Because real connection expands you. It reminds you of who you are. It makes you feel more capable, not less. An emotionally draining person shrinks you. Sometimes deliberately, sometimes unconsciously, but the effect is the same. You leave every interaction with a slightly smaller sense of self. Multiply that over months. Years. Decades. That's how someone loses themselves without ever noticing when it happened. If you consistently feel smaller after being with a specific person, ask yourself, what am I still doing here? And more importantly, what version of me am I losing to keep this relationship going? Number 7, your wins are met with strange, subtle coldness. You got promoted. You share the news. They pause. Then say, "Oh, congrats. That's nice." That's it. No excitement. No follow-up questions. No genuine warmth. Maybe they even quickly change the subject to something happening in their own life. Or worse, they immediately match your good news with their own bigger news. Or minimize it, "Oh, that's basically the same job with a different title, right?" Or find a way to poke a hole in it, "Yeah, but you're going to be so stressed. I don't envy you at all." Somehow, your joy always leaves them slightly diminished. And you can feel it. So over time, you stop sharing. You stop telling them about the good things. You stop mentioning the promotion, the trip, the new relationship, the accomplishment, the milestone. You save your happiness for people who can actually receive it, because with them, sharing joy has consequences. This is one of the most quietly devastating signs. Because a relationship should be a place where your joy is safe. where your wins are welcomed, where the other person is genuinely, uncomplicatedly happy for you, because your good is not their loss. Someone who cannot hold your happiness without becoming diminished by it is not your friend. They are your competitor. And you have been in an unspoken competition for years. You are allowed to leave that competition. You are allowed to give your good news to people who will actually cheer for you. Number 8, you feel like their emotional well-being is your job. If they seem sad, you feel responsible. If they had a bad day, you feel like it's on you to fix it. If they're in a funk, you rearrange your entire schedule to try to lift them out of it. If they're going through a hard time, you carry that hard time in your body, as if it were your own. You have absorbed their emotions as your own emotional workload. And this is often praised, isn't it? People call you thoughtful, empathetic, loyal, a good friend, a good partner, a good child. But here's what nobody tells you: taking on someone else's emotional state as your personal responsibility is not empathy. It's enmeshment. Real empathy says, I see that you're struggling. I care. I'm here. Enmeshment says, I see that you're struggling. Now I can't rest until you feel better. Your pain has become my crisis. Your mood has become my mood. Your unhappiness feels like proof that I'm failing. That's not love. That's absorption. And it will eat you alive. Here's the truth that will free you: another person's emotions are their own. Even the people you love most. Even your parents. Even your partner. Even your children, once they're grown. You are not required to fix them. You are not required to solve them. You are not required to carry them. You can care deeply about someone's pain without becoming the container for it. If you were taught that love means absorbing everyone else's feelings, you were taught wrong. And unlearning that lesson is one of the most life-giving things you will ever do. Number 9, you've begun quietly, subtly, unconsciously avoiding them. You take a little longer to respond to their texts. You forget to call them back. You dodge invitations with vague excuses. You feel a wave of relief when a planned meeting gets cancelled. You find yourself busy on days they usually want to see you. And you feel guilty about all of it. You tell yourself you're being a bad friend, a bad family member, a bad partner. You promise yourself you'll do better next time. But listen to what your behavior is telling you. Your conscious mind still says, I love them, they're important to me, I should make more time. But your actual behavior, your patterns, your instincts, the choices you make without thinking, is quietly, steadily, undeniably moving away from them. Your unconscious knows something your conscious mind hasn't accepted yet. Your unconscious knows this relationship is depleting you. Your unconscious knows this person is not safe. Your unconscious knows the exhaustion isn't random, it has a source, and the source is them. The reason you're avoiding them isn't because you're a bad person. It's because a part of you has been quietly trying to save you for months. Maybe years. Trust that part of you. It knows things your polite, conditioned, guilt-trained mind is still trying to talk itself out of. You are not avoiding them because you don't love them. You are avoiding them because being around them costs more than you can afford to keep paying. And sign number 10, the one that runs quietly in the background for years, is this. You don't feel like yourself anymore. You used to be lighter, funnier, more spontaneous, more creative, more alive. You used to have hobbies, interests, things you loved doing just because you loved doing them. You used to sing in the car, or dance in your kitchen, or lose track of time reading, or make plans with friends you were genuinely excited about. And somewhere along the way, you don't know exactly when, that version of you went quiet. Now you feel more like a caretaker than a person. More like a manager than a soul. More like someone getting through the day than someone actually living it. And you keep waiting for it to come back. You keep thinking, maybe once things calm down. Maybe once this stressful season passes. Maybe once they're doing better. But the stressful season doesn't pass. And they never do better. And the version of you that used to be alive keeps getting quieter and quieter. Here's what I need you to hear. You did not lose yourself because you got older. You did not lose yourself because life got busy. You did not lose yourself because that's just what happens to adults. You lost yourself because you have been pouring the entirety of your emotional resources into someone, or several someones, who never poured anything back. And you cannot rebuild yourself while continuing to give the same amount of yourself away. Something has to change. Not necessarily them. You may not be able to change them. But your access to them, how much of yourself you offer, how often, how deeply, that is entirely within your control. You are allowed to reduce that access. Not because you hate them, but because you love yourself. And loving yourself is not optional. It is the foundation everything else in your life is built on. If several of these signs described someone in your life, please hear this. Recognizing an emotionally draining relationship does not mean you have to end it. You don't have to make a dramatic decision today. You don't have to cut anyone off. You don't have to have a difficult conversation this week. All you have to do is see it. Clearly. Honestly. Without minimizing it anymore. Because once you can see it, everything changes. You stop wondering why you're so tired. You stop blaming yourself for being drained. You stop treating the exhaustion as your personal failure. You start to understand, oh, there's a reason. It has a name. It has a source. And from that place of clarity, you can start making small choices. Answering the phone less. Shortening the conversations. Not offering solutions to problems they don't actually want solved. Not carrying emotions that aren't yours. Sharing less of your inner life with someone who can't hold it. Reserving your energy for people who deposit into you as much as they withdraw. These small choices will feel uncomfortable at first. Guilt will show up. Old patterns will pull at you. But over time, sometimes only weeks, you'll notice something. You'll notice you have energy again. You'll notice your shoulders drop. You'll notice you're sleeping better. You'll notice you're laughing more. You'll notice the version of you that went quiet is starting to speak up again. That version of you was never gone. She was just tired. He was just tired. They were just tired. And now, finally, they get to rest. Leave a comment and tell me, which sign hit you hardest? Which one did you not want to admit? For me, sign number 9 was the one I couldn't argue with, because my behavior was telling on me long before my mind was ready to listen. I read every comment. And if this landed for you, watch the next video I'll link right here, about the 7 things highly intelligent people never say. Because once you stop pouring your energy into the wrong people, the next step is protecting how you speak, because your words are the last leak most people never notice. You are not too much. You are not being dramatic. You are not imagining it. You are just carrying more than you were ever meant to carry. Put it down. I'll see you in the next one.